Whispers in Willow Creek. Summer in Willow Creek, California always brought a special kind of quiet. But for me, Jason, an engineering student back home to help out with my Uncle Kevin's construction business, it was a time of secret discoveries. This place wasn't just about the quiet fields and peaceful suburban homes. It was also where the suppressed emotions and hidden desires of adults awoke. Everything started one day by chance as I walked past the old laundry room/storage shed behind the house. You are listening to a diary of hidden emotions, which brings not only feeling, but also moments when the soul gets to be unfaithful. Just once. Affairs with My Two Aunts. Part 1. The Backyard Secret. I was walking past the small bathroom behind the house when I saw my Aunt Helen standing in the gap near the rain barrel. Looking from a distance, it was quite secluded, but from this angle near the bathroom, I could see clearly. I saw Aunt Helen pull down her shorts, revealing her smooth thighs and white butt. A little surprised, I just stared to see what she was doing. It turned out that Aunt Helen was peeing. I saw that area of hers was black, curly, and quite long. Aunt Helen's was really bushy. It seemed this garden hadn't been trimmed, watered, or tilled for a long time. The hissing sound of water hitting the concrete floor sent shivers down my spine. Afraid that Aunt Helen would see me, I hid next to the bathroom door. After peeing, Aunt Helen shook her butt a few times to get rid of the water before pulling up her pants. Seeing me standing near the bathroom, Aunt Helen smiled faintly, looking embarrassed. She said, "Jason, you're back?" I replied, "Yes, I just got back. Where's Summer?" "She went to the market to buy groceries for dinner," she said. I smiled and walked into the bathroom. Perhaps Aunt Helen knew I had seen her relieving herself like that. After showering, I put on a t-shirt and loose cotton shorts. I went upstairs to help Aunt Helen clean up a bit. Because the shorts were loose, my little guy kept dangling like a cucumber swaying in the wind. I went back and forth helping Aunt Helen in the auxiliary kitchen and saw her carrying a large pot, preparing for her food business. I stepped forward to help Aunt Helen and whispered, "Let me help you carry it." Aunt Helen looked at me and smiled, and I felt a flutter in my heart. Speaking of her personality, Aunt Helen was very much loved by my grandmother and the other aunts and uncles. When I was done carrying the pot, Summer came back, her hair flying, and said, "I'm cooking this braised fish dish just for you, bro." I chuckled because I loved that dish. Summer went into the kitchen to wash the fish and start cooking dinner. Because she was cooking on charcoal stove, imagine an outdoor grill or traditional stove, the air was quite hot. I went into the kitchen and saw Summer with her hair tied up high, revealing her white neck. Drops of sweat glistened on her baby hairs, making Summer's feminine beauty even more appealing. The night fell quite quickly, and the flickering yellow light cast down made Summer look even more graceful. When the food was cooked, Summer turned back and told me, "Brother, take it up. We'll wait for Dad Kevin to eat together." I carried the food to the table, and Aunt Helen also finished preparing everything to wake up early tomorrow to fulfill customer orders. When Summer finished cooking, she took a shower and went upstairs to her room to play on the computer. A moment later, Uncle Kevin returned. Seeing me, he smiled and said, "How's work, Jason?" "Good, sir. Are you making good money? Was the construction project fast today?" He said, "It's all right. I took on 3 projects, so I have to run back and forth a bit, but it's okay. I'll take a shower first." As soon as he finished speaking, Summer brought a glass of water from inside the house for Uncle Kevin and said, "I've cooked dinner, Dad. Go shower, then come eat. I'm hungry." Uncle Kevin smiled, got his clothes, and then went to shower. Uncle Kevin is also a good man, so everyone in the family likes him. After the 4 of us finished eating, I took the car to go out. Summer had to study, so she went into her room. I never went into Summer's room. I went out until late. When I returned and went to the restroom, I heard the sound of water rushing in the bathroom. I didn't pay any attention, but the light spilled out from the crack in the door, so I focused and looked. Aunt Helen was bathing. The sound of the ladle of water pouring down made me imagine her full and rounded body. At my age, I really wanted to explore a woman's body, especially Aunt Helen's. I crept like a cat preparing to steal food, slowly approached, climbed over the water tank, and went around to the side of the toilet to peek inside. From this spot, looking in from the outside was easy, but looking out from inside the bathroom was quite difficult. Lowering my head, I slowly saw that Aunt Helen had a layer of bath foam on top. Because it was a bit far away and the shadows were quite small, there wasn't enough light, but I tried hard to look. Aunt Helen's curves were not overly beautiful because she was already in her 40s, but they were quite plump. Oh, it seems Aunt Helen is doing something other than just bathing. I tried to move slowly right up to the door and investigate what Aunt Helen was doing. I felt a little strange because she wasn't doing anything else, so why was Aunt Helen showering so thoroughly? Then a groaning sound, suddenly echoed from the bathroom. Sometimes it was like a hiss through clenched teeth. Sometimes it seemed suppressed in her mouth, both deep and choked in her throat. Focusing for a moment, I was terrified to see Aunt Helen was self-gratifying. I was surprised because Uncle Kevin was such a dignified man. So why would he let Aunt Helen be so sexually deprived? Seeing that, I also desperately wanted it, but I just had to bear it, not knowing what to do. Her hand was holding a big, long cucumber, and she just kept thrusting faster and faster. The faster the speed, the deeper and more interrupted her moaning became, often panting heavily like a tractor going uphill. Suddenly, she let out an ugh sound, and her whole body convulsed a few times. The squishing sound was like someone trying to plug a broken pipe but failing, and the water flowed even harder. Then she let out an ugh gasp, and the cucumber was violently flung against the bathroom wall. I heard a thud, and the water hissing, hiss, 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 intermittently blended with Aunt Helen's heavy panting. My whole body went rigid. I couldn't believe a woman who looked so proper and full of virtues would do this. I couldn't believe my eyes when I first saw a woman satisfying herself with the big, long cucumber. And I especially couldn't believe this was Aunt Helen. After watching for a while, I went back inside for fear of her finding out. When Aunt Helen finished her bath, she came in too, and seeing me in the yard, she didn't think I had seen her actions just now, so she said, "Jason, you're home." "Yes, I just got back, taking advantage of the cool air here before going to sleep," I replied. She smiled. "Oh, you big boy, spying on something again." I blushed and forced a laugh as if I'd been caught red-handed, but still stretched a few times to pass it off as exercise. The next morning, Uncle Kevin said he had to go to a construction site for 2 or 3 days and told his wife and Summer to be careful at home. After my work shift, I came home. Summer told me, "It's Sunday today. Want to hang out with me?" "Where? And why are you suddenly inviting me out today?" "Haha, I'll tell you something when we go." It had been a long time since Summer and I went out together. As we were going, Summer asked me, "What do you think of Rose?" "Well, Rose is well behaved, generally okay. But don't tell me you're trying to set me up with her." "Oh, how did you guess so well? You know me, right? Don't you like her?" Summer said, "I think she's fine, generally a good person. Plus, her house is close to ours. It's time to make a move." "But I don't like that. I don't like getting married. I want to enjoy life a little longer. I don't want a wife right now." Summer teased me. "Look at that face. I hate it." I laughed, and then Summer told me to go get ice cream. When we got to the ice cream parlor, Rose was already sitting there. It turned out Summer had set me up. I was helpless against this scheming little cousin. But I had to sit down and talk. Now that I paid attention, I saw Rose wasn't bad at all. She was an ordinary person, but notably her breasts, were huge, oversized for her body. I sat and talked, sipping ice cream, while Summer tried hard to bring Rose and me together. I talked normally, and we left late. When we got home, Summer asked me, "Have you changed your mind about Rose yet?" "Still the same. I just think her merchandise is overloaded, just too big." Summer glared at me. Typical men, only paying attention to that. If you don't pay attention to that, what else would you pay attention to? And if hers were used, it must feel great, right? You're pretty quick to assume. You old pervert. Summer roared and said, "Everyone in school likes looking at hers. Sometimes I crave it for her, and occasionally touching it, soft, feels pretty good." Summer added a final blow. "You're a pervert, but you act shy. You just want to use it. You don't want to marry her." I winked and walked inside. Summer went into her room, and I went outside to smoke. After finishing my cigarette, I went to brush my teeth and wash my face. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw Aunt Helen masturbating in the storage room. Oh my God! In her hand was a massive, big, long cucumber, slick and shiny, covered in something like soap foam. Aunt Helen was startled to see me at the door and quickly tried to cover up. "Oh, Jason, what are you doing?" "I'm preparing some ingredients to deliver to people tomorrow." Preparing ingredients? Yeah, right, I thought to myself. A little surprised, I said, "It's okay, Aunt. I'm sorry." I went outside for a while and she came out too, awkwardly saying to me, "I'm sorry, I didn't close the door." "It's okay, Aunt. I didn't notice anything." I smiled and talked for a while, then gently asked her, "Aunt, why do you have to be alone like this?" When I asked that, she suddenly teared up, eyes welling up, and approached me, whispering, "No, I don't want this to happen, but there's a reason for it. I must be having a second spring. I really desire intimacy very much. And your Uncle Kevin, well, what about him?" She continued, "I don't know if your uncle has a mistress outside, but for over a year now, he hasn't paid any attention to me." "Oh, maybe he's just preoccupied with something. I don't think he has a mistress outside, Aunt. What makes you say he has someone else outside?" Aunt Helen sniffled and continued, "Many times I've tried to seduce him or gotten angry, but your uncle acts like he doesn't care, like he's impotent. It's depressing. It's just instinct that makes me do that. I don't want to. Even when he tries, he only does it as a formality. He has no interest at all." I forced a smile to comfort her, gently patting her. The scent of a woman stimulated my senses. That strange smell, both faintly sweaty and fragrant with Kamei soap mixed with the cooking spices, suddenly made me extremely excited. I gently whispered to her, "Just calm down, Uncle and Aunt. I'm sure it can be resolved. You've been married for so long, after all." "I've tried hard, but I don't know if it will work. You've been here with us for a while, so you probably know how your uncle and I are," she said. I didn't say anything, but just tried to comfort Aunt Helen so she wouldn't feel so hurt and frustrated. I've read about this issue online a lot, so I also said, "If you feel you can't stand it, you can do that, Aunt. That's normal. Everyone has needs. I read in the newspaper that it's normal, just to relieve stress." "But I'm afraid you'll look at me differently," she replied. "If I don't tell anyone and people don't know, it's fine. Just relax, Aunt," I reassured her. "But using fake things all the time, I'm afraid I'll become frigid," Aunt Helen said. I thought what she said made sense. I tried to console her. "It's only a fake thing now. The real one is your husband's." At this, Aunt Helen stopped talking. I couldn't believe the fire inside this seemingly ordinary woman was so intense. After sitting with me for a while, Aunt Helen went inside, and I also went to my room to sleep. I thought about it briefly, but didn't dwell on it too much. The next morning, some friends invited me out, so I got ready to go. Summer T. Tinzen ran out of her room, hugged my neck, and shook me, saying, "Brother Jason, let me come too, okay? It's boring at home."
How can you go? Stay home and study. Where are you going? I'm on break. I only ask you to let me go on the weekend. Come on, stay home and help Mom. She has so much work. How will she manage without your help? Are you going to tell someone else to do it? Stay home, okay? I said. At that, Summer made an ooh sound and pouted, which made me laugh. She shook her body, pretending to be angry. I laughed and said, "Come on, don't be mad at me. I'll buy you a present when I get back, all right? What do you want so I can buy it for you?" "Buy me a lipstick, okay?" Summer replied. "Wow, you're getting vain lately. Focus on studying, try hard, and go to college. Don't end up working hard like me." "What? I know. Why do you always have to lecture me? Remember to buy it, or else," Summer said. I smiled at my little sister's spoiled voice, got ready, checked the car, and then went out with my friends. We wandered around for half a day playing before reaching the island, or beach part. We unpacked, swam, and then ate and had fun. In the evening, we went camping. When we ran out of things to talk about, we switched to girls. I often went out with girls in the city, so I talked a lot. While chatting, I suddenly remembered the events of the previous night with Aunt Helen. I admit, secretly watching felt good. So the whole group decided to look for girls. We went into a pitch-dark motel with dim yellow light following the instructions of the motorcycle taxi driver. We each chose a room and were given a proper receipt. After lying down for about 5 minutes, a woman opened the door and stepped in. The moment I saw her face, I almost fainted. It turned out to be a woman who must have been over 40. I rushed out in panic, quickly paid for one trip, and went back to rest without daring to say a word to my friends. The next morning, we packed up and headed home. I bought Summer a lip gloss and a box of powder, and Aunt Helen a bottle of perfume. I also bought Rose a lipstick, but it was slightly lower quality than Summer's. When I got home, Aunt Helen smiled, seeming embarrassed about the night before, and softly asked, "Have you eaten, Jason? I cooked braised fish." "I already ate, Aunt." The guys went out to eat and drink until they were full before coming home. Summer had just come back from Rose's house. Seeing me, she jumped on my back, nearly making me fall, and forced me to carry her and said, "Brother Jason, where is my gift? I'll kick you if you don't have it." "Here. How could I forget my only little sister?" I said, handing Summer the lipstick and the box of powder. "Double the goods, okay? No kicking." Summer's eyes narrowed with a happy smile because I gave her a gift. I also turned to give Aunt Helen the perfume. Seeing another lipstick, Summer immediately asked, "Oh, who was this for, brother?" "It's for Rose. Can you take it to her tomorrow?" "Ah, I see. Hee hee hee," Summer said excitedly. That evening, I invited Summer out. Summer hesitated but then went with me. After calling Rose, we went to eat dessert. Summer cheerfully handed Rose a lipstick and said, "Here's your gift." Rose seemed to really like my gift. The three of us ordered dessert. Rose ordered pomelo sweet soup. Summer ordered mixed sweet soup. I teased the shop owner, "Give me a Black Forest Delight, also, please." The two girls stared, not understanding what a Black Forest Delight was. Summer pressed the owner, "Sister, do you have Black Forest Delight here too? Why isn't it on the menu for us to try?" The owner, knowing I was joking, smiled mischievously and blushed. She replied, "Which girl doesn't have a Black Forest Delight? Go eat it yourself. I don't sell it here. I keep it for my husband. If I sold it, he'd paint me black and blue." Summer and Rose still didn't understand and kept asking, so I had to explain. "Try reading it backwards." "Ah, you're naughty. How did you even think of that? What a sick mind." Then the whole group burst out laughing. Summer and Rose were bright red. I also ordered a cup of mixed sweet soup. After eating, we talked. I told the two of them about my trip. After eating and returning home, Summer said, "Looking at hers makes me crave it." "Why wouldn't it? It's huge. Everyone likes it," I joked. "I wonder if it's possible," Summer asked. "Ask her. Why are you asking me?" I said. So I dropped Summer off first, and then I went back to Rose. The two of us sat in the empty park or field with a cool breeze. I told Rose that she was beautiful today. Flushed at the compliment, her face turned red. I boldly said I had liked Rose for a long time. "Rose, be my girlfriend." okay? Rose didn't say anything, fidgeting with her white t-shirt. The time had come, so I leaned in and kissed Rose right away. My hand, as if guided by Rose's oversized speakers, automatically slipped inside her shirt and kneaded them. Wow, they were so soft and warm. I haven't said yes yet. Why are your hands all over the place? Rose said. Because they're so big, I like them. You've wanted this for a while, haven't you? I can tell by your perverted face. You're not the only one. Lots of guys like them. Many guys like Black Forest Delight too, Rose said. Huh, Rose learned quickly. Such a curious age. I thought Rose was shy, but I didn't expect her to be so bold. What size are yours? I asked. I don't know either. 86 or 88. Equivalent to a large U.S. bra size. Sometimes it drives me crazy with embarrassment. It's so big. How is that not enjoyable? It's beautiful. Rose complained. Guys think it's beautiful, but I just get teased and criticized. I don't see anything beautiful about it. Many guys say they only stick around to feed the two grapefruits, right? It makes me so mad. I can't stand it. Ignore them. They're mine, I said. After fooling around for a while, Rose softly said, Let's go home. My mom might scold me. Okay, but first, give me a kiss, okay? I'm so desperate right now. Rose smiled and went home with me. As soon as I got home, I quickly showered, and when I went into my room, Summer came running over and said, So, what's the situation? Did you score yet? What are you talking about? You're being very naughty lately. Oh, come on. You're hiding things from your little sister? I know, Rose. Well, did you do anything outside? I smiled and nodded, and Summer burst out laughing and said, I knew it. What knew it? That you got close to her. What else? Why are you saying that? I hang out with her all the time. I know. She's always reading sex stories online. Sometimes she invites me to read too. I'll tell Aunt Helen. Hey, if you tell, I'll never speak to you again. Okay, so what happened after reading? Well, after reading, she feels weird. Her body gets hot, and both of us get all wet. Wow. I guess I shouldn't keep quiet about this. Come on, bro. We're cousins. We have to keep secrets. I glared, looking smugly to probe Summer. Summer looked down, having accidentally let slip the secret. I also found my cousin attractive. When we were little, I also saw her pee and use the toilet. But back then, we were just siblings or cousins and didn't know anything. I smiled and told Summer, All right, I won't tell, but tell me our secret, okay? Pinky swear. Summer smiled and Pinky swore, leaned closer and whispered to me, Remember, don't tell Mom. Hear me? All right, so what else does she do? Well, she just ohs and ahs, that thing outside. And I think she eats Black Forest Delight too. Saying that, she burst out laughing. Sometimes I have to turn the music up loud so others won't know. What about her little brother and parents? Don't they? They know? Her dad is a hired worker under my dad's crew. He barely comes home anymore. And her mom works in the garden and then goes over to her grandma's house or her aunts and uncles. She's not home. So you two watch in the evening? Only occasionally in the evening, but mostly in the afternoon. We come home after tutoring and turn on the computer. But she's connected to the internet, and I don't know who she copied it from. She has several hundred stories, even videos. She's also deprived of men's attention, so at first she was shy, but now she seems to like it. Does she do it with her boyfriend? Who would dare? In this tiny town and commune, who would do that and risk getting caught? So what did you do with her? Just some stuff outside. Nothing big yet, but it felt great. Oh, Summer squealed, and I teased, how about I take a look at yours then? Hey, don't joke around like that, I'll kill you. I backed off, thinking I went too far, but then Summer also leaned closer, whispering in my ear, when no one's around, I'll let you.
I never thought my cousin would be into this. Could it be that she also craves love like Aunt Helen? I smiled and nodded, and the two of us talked for a while before going to sleep. I went downstairs to use the restroom and saw Aunt Helen busy in the storage room. I went in and saw her preparing things like bowls, chopsticks, and trays. I asked her what she was gathering the stuff for. Tomorrow we're having a memorial service for the grandparents, and I'm preparing the supplies. Tomorrow the other aunts will come over to go shopping and cook the feast. It's just a few aunts and uncles, she said. Let me help. I helped Aunt Helen clean up, and then Aunt Helen went to take a bath. I wasn't sleepy yet, so I walked around, heading out to the garden. Planning to pick and cut a grapefruit or apple, I walked past the bathroom again. This time I heard Aunt Helen's voice, still the familiar groaning sound. I crept in to look, but surprisingly, Aunt Helen knew I was there and called out softly, "Jason, are you out there? Come in." I didn't know what was happening, but since Aunt Helen called, I took the risk and went in. Aunt Helen was still sitting on the bathroom floor. She still had the big, long cucumber, but this time it was wrapped in 3 worms, condoms. Afraid Aunt Helen would punish me for spying, I softly asked, "Aunt, why did you call me?" She said, "Can I look at yours?" I was a little surprised by her question. I didn't think she would ask me that. Furthermore, Aunt Helen was usually a very proper woman. I stammered, asking again, "Look at what?" Before I could ask further, Aunt Helen came over to me. She pressed her whole body against mine, making me tremble. The feeling of being about to be eaten alive made me shiver because this was my aunt. "Aunt, what are you doing?" She said that she didn't know. She wanted to feel good. She wanted a strange sensation. Her hand reached into my elastic pants and grabbed me. "You're so big. Let me have it." Aunt Helen was now like a beast craving intimacy. She pulled down my elastic pants and sucked me fiercely. Goosebumps rose all over my body. The feeling of ecstasy ran down my spine. Although I had been to the city a few times and the girls there made me feel the pleasures of the world, Aunt Helen was much more professional now. "Please, Aunt, I can't hold it anymore. Ah!" I let out a surprised cry and came all over the place. Aunt Helen took all of it into her mouth and swallowed it with a satisfying gulp. Aunt Helen stood up and suddenly a warty cucumber fell onto the bathroom floor, rolling into the corner. I was frozen stiff with fear. She was playing with 2 things, a big, long cucumber and a cucumber. Aunt Helen quickly looked back with a slight look of embarrassment, but then continued. My thing was still proudly erect, so my aunt and I made love right there in the bathroom by the well. A moment after we finished, Aunt Helen blushed slightly, put on her clothes, and told me, "You go in first, I'll go in after." I put on my clothes and took the grapefruit, or apple, inside to cut and eat. A moment later, Aunt Helen came in. She seemed satisfied and was very happy. Her face had lost the initial tension. She gently walked over to me and said, "Go to bed early, okay? I'm going to sleep now." "Do you need me to help prepare anything for tomorrow's feast?" "Tomorrow, take Summer to buy the things Aunt Nicole or Aunt Vi ask for. Just buy from the usual stores and it will be enough," she said. "Yes, Aunt." I went to my room, laid down on the bamboo mat, and thought back on what had just happened. I couldn't believe Aunt Helen could do that and that I went along and did it with her. It truly felt like sin. Thinking about it a little, the feeling of pleasure still lingered, making me happy. The faint moonlight shone through the window, casting shadows on the curtain, making me feel sleepy. The next morning, I woke up and saw Summer washing cups and arranging flowers in 2 vases for the memorial service. I went to the restroom and came back asking, "Do you remember everything Mom told you?" "I remember. You and I are going later. You treat me like a child. You never know. You still look very young and green. Ugh, I hate you." I helped Summer wash the dishes and then we went to the market. Aunt Helen invited a few more relatives, so it was quite a crowd. We bought several large bags of groceries and returned home. The other aunts, Aunt Nicole, Uncle Brett's wife, and Aunt Lisa, Uncle Trent's wife, also arrived to help. The uncles had arrived too. Only Uncle Kevin hadn't returned yet, but he was probably on his way. Aunt Nicole and Aunt Lisa were very young, only about 6 or 7 years older than me. Summer and I returned and helped the aunts and welcomed the guests. Uncle Kevin returned around noon. It was quite hot and sunny that day, so cooking in the kitchen was tiring. After preparing the offerings, Uncle Kevin lit the incense and waited for the paper offerings to burn. Aunt Nicole was about 5'6" and had quite fair skin, a beautiful and charming mouth. Her hair was permed and dyed quite nicely. Because Aunt Nicole lived in the city, she was different from us in the countryside. I really liked Aunt Nicole's personality. In addition, Aunt Nicole's quite beautiful, especially her big round behind, which I really liked. I thought to myself, if I could do something with this, it would be awesome. Aunt Nicole was still quite young, around 30 to 32, so she still looked attractive, especially her chest. After talking with Rose and me for a while, Aunt Nicole and Rose went to the market. I wandered around the house and then went to the small garden corner. Aunt Nicole had a coconut tree, or citrus tree, that was bearing a lot of fruit, so I climbed up and chopped down a bunch. Rose and Aunt Nicole returned from the market and saw the coconut bunch. Aunt Nicole smiled and said, "I was just about to ask you to cut it down to drink. That was fast, right?" Haha, your coconuts are really plentiful. After cutting the coconuts, the three of us drank, and then Aunt Nicole and Rose went inside to cook. Since I had already done something with Aunt Helen, I kept trying to pay attention to Aunt Nicole. You never know. The story is a chain of morally and legally reprehensible actions reflecting the breakdown and repressed desires within the family life. The lesson learned from a psychological and social perspective is marriage and loneliness. The coldness and lack of attention from the husband, Kevin, pushed the wife into loneliness and seeking sexual gratification by any means, even through acts considered incestuous. The lack of emotional connection and communication in the marriage is the deep root cause of the breakdown and deviant behaviors. The consequences of curiosity and lack of self-control. Jason's adolescent curiosity, unchecked, led to voyeurism and subsequently an illicit relationship with his aunt. Uncontrolled curiosity combined with an unhealthy environment and unmanaged personal desires can lead to severe misconduct, causing psychological harm and a heavy burden of guilt. In life, honesty, open communication, and mutual respect in relationships, especially marriage and family, are the foundation for avoiding unnecessary tragedies.